Okay, if you have been training consistently, showing up, doing the work, and you are still not seeing the change that you expected in your body, then I want you to watch this whole video, because what I'm about to walk you through is exactly how I take a client from being stuck to a real 6-month transformation. Okay, this is for the women who are already putting the work in. You've been training for a while, you've been showing up, doing what you think is right, but you have hit a wall. You're consistent and the results are no matching that, right? You do not know if it's your training, if it's your food, if it's your recovery, or if it's something else entirely. Okay, if this is you, stay with me, because by the end of this, you are going to understand exactly why progress stalls, and you're going to see it proven through real women who fixed it. What you're about to watch is not a theory. I'm going to show you real clients, different starting points, and the exact shift that changed things for each of them. Now, this is called the One With UK method, and it is built on what I actually do with the women I coach. This is not generic advice, this is the real thing. Now, by the end of this, you are not just going to understand why progress stalls. So stick with me to the end and I will show you exactly how to find out which one of these patterns is actually yours. I'm Taylor, and I've coached hundreds of women over 7 years, helping them build the physique and the confidence that they actually want without living in a deficit forever or handing their life over to a coach. Now, every client I have ever had has came through word of mouth, no adverts. And the pattern I see over and over again is women working hard and they're not getting that payoff, right? Now, this is not because they're lazy, it's not because they lack discipline, but because nobody has ever shown them what's actually wrong. And now this is what today is for. So the first thing that most people are told when results stop is, do you know what, just eat less, just move more, just try harder. And I get why that message is everywhere, and it's simple, right? It sounds logical, and look, I understand why, because that's the message we get everywhere. Fewer calories, more effort, more discipline. But here's the problem with that. The women I work with are not undisciplined, they are not lacking effort, they are doing the work and it is still not shifting. So the eat less, move more line is not the answer, and it never was, right? So here's what's actually going on almost every single time. You're under eating and you're calling it a diet, so your body has nothing left to work with. You are training so much that you have tipped into overtraining and underperforming, because somewhere along the way you decided more must always be better. You're absolutely shattered, right? So you tank caffeine all day, then you can't sleep at night. You're not tracking your food accurately, so you think that you know what's going on in your body, but you have no clue, right? You're scared to push intensity in the gym and train to failure because nobody has ever taught you that it's actually safe to do that and to train hard. Or you've done all the 6-week shreds before, gone in, then gone straight back to your old ways and wondered why nothing ever sticks, right? The real reason, and I see this almost universally, is that there is no structure to any of these approaches. The body needs different things at different stages of any transformation, and most people treat every single phase exactly the same. Now, you can't build muscle and burn body fat in the same way at the same time unless you are a newbie in that newbie gains category. You also can't maintain momentum across 6 months without understanding what your body's doing in months 1 and 2 versus months 4 and 5. And when there's no phase structure, progress stalls, usually right around that 8 to 12 week mark, right? Does that sound familiar? None of that's a discipline problem, and in my opinion, I think it's an education problem. Nobody has ever taught you how your own body actually works, so you are guessing your way through it, and guessing does not build a physique. So let me tell you about Emma. When Emma came to me, her goal was simple. She wanted to lose body fat. Now, she was doing everything by the textbook. Eating less, training more, and giving it everything that she had, yet nothing seemed to be changing. She'd reached the point where she genuinely believed that her body just wasn't capable of losing body fat sustainably, right? So that's what she'd been trying to fix. But when we actually looked at what was happening, the real issue wasn't that her body couldn't lose fat, it was that she was underfueled, she was overtraining, and she was completely burnt out. So instead of asking her to do more, we done the opposite. We fueled her properly with the right amount of food, the correct macronutrients. We structured her training so that the hard days were fucking hard, right? But the recovery days actually allowed her to truly recover, and her body finally had the resources to respond. From that point, her motivation came back. She started to enjoy the process again, her energy improved, her training improved, and over that next 6-month period, she lost 37 pounds. The effort hadn't changed, but the structure actually had. now that you can see why the standard advice does not hold up, I want to show you the actual framework that I use instead. This is the part that changes everything for the women that I work with and is exactly what turned things around for Emma. Okay, so this is the framework and I call it the One Wolf method. It's built around one core idea, that a successful 6-month physique transformation has 4 distinct phases, and each phase has a different goal, a different focus, and a different physiological priority. So when you run them in a sequence, they're going to compound, right? When you skip a phase, or you run them all at the same time, you get inconsistent results. Things stall, and eventually you are going to burn out. So you've got 4 phases. You've got the foundation, the execution, the reveal, and then we reassess. Now each phase has a purpose and each one builds on the last. You can't skip a phase and expect the next one to work. So this isn't a 6-week shred, it's not another quick fix, it's a structured 6-month coaching method designed to create results that actually last. Okay, let's talk about phase 1, which is the foundation phase. Now this is week 1 to 4 usually. Now this phase is about understanding where you actually are before you decide where you're going, right? Now most people skip this entirely, they just start training. But see, without an honest baseline, you are building on sand, right? Now phase 2, that's your execution phase. This is roughly months 2 to 4. This is where the actual transformation happens, right? And ironically, it's the phase that most people never fully commit to, because they're so focused on losing body fat to give themselves permission to actually build the house. And this is where we're going to spend some time today talking about this part, because that's the important part. Then we've got phase 3, which is the reveal phase. That's the final 6 to 8 weeks. This is where the work from phase 2 becomes visible. It requires a specific approach. Now you get it wrong here, you're going to undo a lot of the work that you've done. You get it right and the results are going to feel almost effortless, right? Then we've got our last phase, which is phase 4, and that's your reassessment phase. Now once this 6-month transformation is done, the work doesn't just stop. This is the phase that most coaches never ever mention. So we sit down and we decide, what do we do here? Do we maintain? Do we build? Do we reverse? That decision only makes sense because now you can actually read your own body, which is exactly what phases 1 through 3 have taught you how to do. And I'm going to walk you through each of these in detail, but first, here's the most important thing to understand about why this works. Most transformation attempts fail because they are treating 6 months like it's one long phase. More training, less food, all the way through. Your body's going to adapt, progress is going to slow down, and guess what? Motivation's going to crash. So when you give each phase a different stimulus, a different goal, and a defined endpoint, your body's going to keep responding, right? And physiologically, it's so much easier to commit to a 4-week phase with a clear purpose than to commit to 6 months of just keep going. Now, never have I ever in my whole coaching career given someone a diet plan or a training plan and said, let's just see how this goes. Everything is mapped out and it's according to a timeline. So let me take you into phase 1, because this is the step that determines whether everything else works. And I'm going to give you the exact 7-day actions so you can start also this week. Okay, phase 1, foundation, everything starts here. Before we chase fat loss, muscle growth or performance, we build the foundations that make those things possible. Most people skip this phase entirely. They just jump straight into eating less, doing more cardio or trying to train harder. But this is where I do the opposite. So step 1, I'm going to get you fresh, I'm going to get you fed, and I'm going to get you full. The first thing that I do is bring your body back to a place where it actually will respond. That means eating around maintenance calories or sometimes even in a slight surplus, depending on where you're starting. Why? Because see, if you've just spent months chronically dieting, overtraining and running yourself into the ground, your body isn't in a position to perform. So before we can ask your body to lose body fat, we need to restore it. We need to restore that fuel. We need to make sure that we are well recovered and ready for the work that's about to be ahead. Now, step 2 in this phase, we are going to build your training around progression. Once nutrition is supporting performance, we build a training structure that actually allows progressive overload to happen, right? Now, I'm analysing your technique, your exercise execution, your training intensity, and whether you're genuinely training close enough to failure to create adaptation. Your training isn't just about exercises, right? It's about creating a system where you can progressively get stronger without burning yourself into the ground. Now at this stage, there is no cardio. I don't think that it's necessary. Your energy is being invested into building quality training sessions, right? Now this moves on to step 3 in this phase. This is where I audit everything. This is where coaching really begins. Every week we're reviewing sleep, stress, hunger, digestion, energy, recovery, training performance. Every bit of biofeedback that we need is reviewed. These aren't nice to know metrics. This is information that tells me whether your body is ready for the next phase and what adjustments need to be made before we progress, right? Now this phase itself isn't about chasing PBs. It's not seen about how much you can suffer. It's about building consistency, reducing that unnecessary stress, improving recovery, creating a routine that's going to support you longer term. Because see, without that solid foundation, right, everything built on top of that becomes extremely unstable. So what can you do over the next 7 days? So basically, day 1 and day 2, I want you to pull up your training log. Or if you don't have one, try to recall your last month, honestly, right? For your 3 or 4 main lifts, write down the weight, the reps, and how many of these sets you actually took close to failure. Then ask yourself, has the number on the bar actually gone up in the last 4 weeks? Or have you just been shown up doing the same session on repeat? Now, if your numbers haven't moved, that's not failure, that's valuable information, right? It just tells you that simply working harder isn't the answer, because you've already been working hard, but what's missing is progression. It's not the effort, right? Now, day 3 and 4, I want you to track everything that you've eaten for 3 days. Using an app like MyFitnessPal is quite easy. Or even if you just write it out in your notes, right? I don't want you to change anything. Don't try and eat perfectly for the camera. The goal here is a clean 3 days. It's an honest 3 days. Log the coffee with the milk in it, the bite of your kids' dinner, the glass of wine, all of that. At the end of the 3 days, look at your average protein intake and your average calories and compare that to what you'd have guessed before you started tracking. The gap between what you thought and what's actually there is usually the biggest single insight of the whole week. Now, days 5 to 7, plan your next 4 weeks of training on paper, not in your head. Choose 2 or 3 key compound lifts that you're going to focus on progressing with, and each one write down your current working weight and reps, then write down exactly what progression looks like week by week, whether that's adding weight or adding a rep or adding a set. Alongside that, write down your current average bedtime and wake time for the last week, because sleep is a part of the audit too, right? And if that's inconsistent, that's something we'll need to know before we move into your execution. That's phase 1. Not another crash diet, not hours of cardio, not trying to punish yourself into change, just building the foundation that allows everything else to work. Now, you would be amazed how many people come to me wanting to lose body fat, yet the first thing we do is ask them to eat more. That's because the goal isn't to make the scale move in week 1, the goal is to create a body that's actually capable of responding over the next 6 months. So here's what this looked like for Demi, right? Now, she was desperate to drop body fat, didn't feel confident, didn't feel empowered in making changes to her nutrition or her training, because honestly she felt overwhelmed, she was confused about the next steps, and she thought cardio was the only answer going forward, right? Now, this is where we ran that foundation audit. We found there were so many loose ends that needed tying up with progressive training and nutrition and sleep and recovery. We didn't even add in the cardio that she initially thought was needed. We spent 4 weeks just fixing nutrition and training instead. And that is then when phase 2 started. Now, the result of that, hitting the first milestones of her dream physique, and she dropped 40 pounds in that 6 months. But that phase 1 set that foundation. Phase 2 is where that transformation actually happens, and this is the phase most people are going to rush through, or they're going to skip just entirely, right? Now, here's what phase 2 actually looks like. Now, once the foundations are in, we build roughly 2 to 4 months, right? Now, if the goal is fat loss, this is where true fat loss then begins, right? Because you've spent the first 4 weeks building the foundations, your body is now in a position to actually respond rather than relying on these extremes, right? So we create a controlled calorie deficit that works alongside your training instead of against it. So the goal here isn't to simply just lose weight. The goal is to lose body fat while maintaining performance, preserving muscle tissue, keeping your lifestyle sustainable enough that you can actually stick to it. And here's what this phase involves, right? Training now becomes more progressive, more purposeful. Progressive overload remains the priority. Intensity stays high. Every session has a reason behind it, right? We're not just here to burn calories. We're giving your body a reason to hold on to that muscle while body fat comes down. Now, your nutrition, that's going to be periodised around your training demands. Protein remains high to support that recovery and muscle retention, and calories are going to be reduced strategically rather than aggressively. And adjustments are going to be made based on your progress rather than an emotion, right? And that is where coaching becomes proactive rather than reactive. And one of the biggest mistakes that I see in this phase is people try to rush this process. They cut calories far too low, far too quickly. They add unnecessary cardio. They stop pushing hard in the gym because they're tired. They panic the moment progress slows down for a week. But fat loss isn't about doing more. It's about doing the right things consistently, making small calculated adjustments when they're needed, and trusting the structure that you have built from phase one. Because see, if you underfuel and you overdo the cardio, or you stop training with intent, you're going to undo everything that you worked so hard to establish in phase one. And that makes phase three far more difficult than it needs to be. Okay, so let me talk about phase three now, which is the reveal. Now that's usually months 5 and 6. Now this is where the physique starts to really reflect all of the work that's already been done. People often think that this is the most important phase, but it honestly isn't, right? It's simply the phase where the foundations you've built and the consistency you've shown finally become visible, right? Now by this point, we're in a controlled calorie deficit that's specific to you. Calories aren't dropped aggressively, right? Cardio isn't thrown in just for the sake of it. Every nutritional adjustment is calculated based on your progress, your recovery and your ability to continue training at a high standard. Now the goal isn't to lose as much weight as possible. The goal is to reveal that physique that you've spent months creating whilst preserving as much muscle as possible. Training remains the priority. We continue to train hard, we maintain progressive overload where appropriate, we deload where necessary to protect muscle tissue, and we keep intensity high even if overall fatigue means volume needs to be adjusted. Cardio is just simply a tool at this point. It supports fat loss, but it never replaces quality resistance training. Now the biggest challenge during this phase isn't usually physical, it's usually psychological. This is the stage where people begin to question everything. They scrutinise every photo, they analyse every single weigh-in, right? And they convince themselves that they're making no progress simply because they see themselves every single day. And this is where having a coach matters. Instead of reacting emotionally to daily fluctuations, we rely on trends. We compare progress photos, we review body measurements, we assess training performance, biofeedback and recovery. We make decisions based on data rather than emotion, because the scale's only going to tell you one thing, right? But at this point, your body composition is going to say something completely different. And while we're revealing the result, we're already planning what comes next. We don't wait until 6 months are over to think about the future. So throughout this phase, we're assessing your recovery, your relationship with food, your adherence, your training, where your body is physiologically. That allows us to make an informed decision about the next step before the transformation even ends. So whether that's maintaining your new physique, or transitioning into another fat loss phase, or building more muscle, or reversing calories back towards maintenance, there's always a plan, because the goal was never to help you reach your result. The goal is to help you keep it. This isn't where the transformation is built, this is where it's revealed. Now this takes us on to phase 4, which is our reassessment phase. Now this is the phase that most coaches never speak about. The transformation is complete, right? But the coaching isn't. Because reaching your goal is one thing, but knowing what to do afterwards is what determines whether you keep it or not. So this is where we step back and we review everything that we've learned over the last 6 months. We look at your progress, your habits, your training performance, your biofeedback and your relationship with food, and also your training. And then we assess where your body is physiologically and where you want to then go next. And from there, we build that next plan. So for some women, that's maintaining their physique and enjoying the balance that they've worked so hard to create. For others, it's moving into a muscle building phase to continue shaping their physique. And for others, it's reversing calories and reducing cardio in a structured way. So recovery, hormones, metabolism, and performance can all continue to move forward in that healthy place, right? The important thing is that we don't just finish the transformation and hope for the best. We leave with a plan, because most transformation attempts don't fail because people aren't capable. They fail because there's no strategy once the photos are taken or once the transformation's done. People either stay in a calorie deficit for far too long and they're going to eventually burn out, or they return back to old habits because they were never taught what comes next. And that's exactly what phase 4 is designed to prevent. Now, by this point, you won't just know what to eat or what exercises to do. You'll understand why you're doing them. You'll understand how your body responds to food, training, stress, recovery, lifestyle. You'll know when to push and you'll know when to pull. You'll know how to adapt instead of just starting over, right? And that's ultimately what I'm trying to achieve with my girls. I'm not trying to build clients who need me forever. I'm trying to build women who understand their own physiology well enough that one day they can actually confidently make informed decisions without a coach just standing beside them. Because the goal, right, was never just to transform your body. It was to give you the education, the confidence, the systems to keep those results for life. And that is why phase 4 exists. It's not just for me, it's also for you, right? Now, I want to show you what this actually looks like in real life, because a framework on its own means nothing, right? Until you see it change someone's actual body and actual life. So let me run through some examples with you. Okay, so we have our first girlie. Let me tell you about Sammy. Now, Sammy came to me after completing a successful growing phase, right? Now, her goal wasn't to step on a stage. It was to reveal the physique that she'd worked so hard to build and celebrate it with a photo shoot, right? So rather than us jumping straight into a calorie deficit, we followed the one wolf method from the very beginning. So we spent the first 4 weeks in that foundation phase, right? So we got her fresh, we got her fed, we got her full. We dialed in her nutrition around whole foods, we cleaned up her training, we built a routine that she could consistently follow and focus on whilst maintaining her body weight before we asked her body to drop body fat. Now, that wasn't time wasted, right? This phase allowed her to stabilise her weight, to refresh her mind after a long improvement phase, and prime her body for much more effective fat loss, right? So during that foundation audit, we also identified some signs of inflammation, right? So rather than ignoring that, we made targeted changes by switching to lower GI food sources where appropriate, and we introduced supplementation to support her health and also her recovery, right? So once the foundations were in place, we moved into that execution phase, which is phase 2. Now, Sammy trained 5 times per week with a structured progressive overload program, while cardio was introduced strategically alongside a controlled calorie deficit. Now, the focus was never to rush fat loss here. It was to create a steady progress while protecting her performance, her recovery, and also her muscle tissue. So halfway through her dieting phase, we made that decision that maybe people wouldn't expect or wouldn't do, right? So we took a 2-week reset. So calories were increased and the cardio was reduced to just 10 minutes per day. Now, why? Because the goal wasn't simply to keep pushing harder. It was to reduce physiological stress, to improve recovery, to maintain longer term responsiveness, and allow her body to freshen up before that final push, right? So when we resumed that deficit, Sammy was eating more, she was doing less cardio, and she had far more momentum than we'd had previously as we were grinding our way through that deficit. So 6 months later, she'd lost 14 pounds, stepped in front of the camera for a shoot, achieved her strongest, leanest, healthiest and most confident physique to date. Now, that result wasn't built by doing more. It was built by knowing exactly when to push and when to pull back, trusting that structure of the process. And this works regardless of your starting point. And then there's Gemma. Now, I include Gemma's story because I know there are people watching this who have been there before. People who once loved training, who had big goals, who wanted to step on a stage or achieve something really incredible, right? But somewhere along the way, they lost their spark, and that was Gemma, right? So before Gemma and I started working together, she actually started a contest prep without the timeline. So her body didn't respond the way that it should have. Everything happened too quickly. The process became overwhelming and eventually life had caught up with her. So when she joined me, she said to me that circumstances out with her control meant that she had to stop, and she piled a lot on, which dragged her mental health down as well. Now, she spent some time tidying up her life and she got her head in a sweet spot and she was ready to make herself that priority again. Now, that sentence told me everything that I needed to know. Gemma didn't need another aggressive plan, right? She needed structure, she needed patience, she needed to actually enjoy training again, right? So we went back to the beginning. We followed the same 4-phase framework, gave her body the time it deserved, built consistency before intensity, and allowed progress to happen at a pace that she could sustain, right? Now, 6 months later, Gemma had lost 10 kilos, but more importantly, she regained the confidence that she'd lost. She found that spark again, because sometimes the biggest transformation, it isn't just the weight that you lose, right? It's becoming excited for your own potential again. So you've heard about 4 different women, 4 different starting points, 1 framework. That's no luck, right? That is what happens when the structure is right. And this is exactly why that phase 4 exists, because the first 6 months aren't the finish line, right? They're the foundation for everything that comes afterwards. So Emma, who I spoke of first, she reassessed and decided to continue her journey into a photo shoot prep. And from there completed multiple building phases and another shoot prep, and today she enjoys a healthy, balanced lifestyle while maintaining the physique and the habits that she worked so hard to build, right? Demi reassessed, she completed then her photo shoot prep, and since then has gone to build an incredibly successful women's health company. She's took that confidence and that discipline that she developed into every area of her life, right? Then Sammy also reassessed, and she moved into another structured building phase, spending time intentionally growing more muscle before beginning her next photo shoot prep. And this time it's with her own clients, right? Which is now only 2 weeks away. And lastly, we've got Gemma, right? Now Gemma reassessed and decided, you know what? I want to step back on stage. So we dove back into a structured diet and then also maintaining periods, right? Now, as I say this out loud, she is now down a total of 81 pounds. And we are just 10 days out from her first ever show, which is absolutely mind blown, incredible, right? 4 completely different women, 4 completely different goals, the same framework. Because the One Wolf method was never designed to get you to the end of the 6 months and send you on your way. It was designed to give you the education, the structure and the confidence to choose your next chapter with purpose, right? That's the real transformation. The first 6 months don't define your potential, but they reveal it. And they set the tone for everything else that you're going on to achieve afterwards. So by now, you have watched 4 women go through real transformations, and you have seen why the generic advice does not work for everybody. You have seen the framework does. And you know it's not about trying harder. It's not about 1200 calories. It's about doing the right things in the right order. You'd also walked away with 3 things you didn't have at the start of this video, right? 1, you know why results have stalled. Not that you need more discipline, the actual structure reason. 2, you have the 4-phase framework: foundation, execution, reveal and reassess. And you know what each phase requires and the common mistakes at each stage. 3, you have your first 7 days. The actions we walked through in phase 1, you can start those today, right? And here is what I also want you to know. Watching this and applying it on your own are 2 different things, right? Now, the women that I coach are smart and capable. They do not need more information thrown at them. What most of them are missing before they come to me is knowing which one of the patterns I mentioned earlier is actually theirs. So whether it's under-eating, overtraining, poor tracking, fear of intensity, the shred cycle, not guessing, actually knowing, right? What they need is someone in their corner who can look at their specific situation, their training, their nutrition, their lifestyle, and tell them exactly what to do and in what order. And someone to check in when phase 2 gets hard and the urge to cut early kicks in, right? That's the gap between where you are right now and where you want to be. This is exactly what the One Wolf method diagnostic does. So here is what I want you to do next, right? Now below this video is the One Wolf method diagnostic. 5 questions that are going to reveal exactly which pattern is keeping you stuck without more guessing, right? Now if you answer that honestly, you're going to walk away with the exact first step to take in the next 7 days to make real progress. It is a short diagnostic, a handful of questions, and it will tell you exactly which of those patterns is actually yours. It's not a generic checklist, right? The same patterns you have just watched play out across 4 real transformations. And once you know which is yours, you get one clear first step, something you can actually start in the next 7 days. Not a full plan, right? Just the right first move for where you actually are right now. So go and download it. Do it before you close this video, because the version of you who knows her actual pattern today is already ahead of the version who keeps on guessing. So go ahead and get the One Wolf Method diagnostic, and if you want to go further than the first step, my inbox is open. So ladies, thank you for watching this properly. If you have sat through all of this, that tells me that you are serious, and serious is exactly who I work with. So peace, love, thank you. Let's crack on.